Good evening, everyone. Audible? So welcome, everyone. It's probably one of the last sessions or the last session, so very difficult to hold attention, I'm sure. We'll have to do something different to get you all alive once again, right? To make this more interesting. By the way, I've also lost a few speakers, as you see, in the process. So we'll hopefully, Shushmita will get them from the backside. But as we start, we'll get into the discussion. So as I can see Dr. Biswajit walking up. Maybe I'll start with Satish, you. So we experienced, all of us experienced this completely unplanned, disruptive 2.5 years of COVID, and entirely retail models changed, consumer expectations changed, and priorities changed for everybody. In your business, which is more grocery, more staples, and absolutely essential category, if I can use the term from COVID days, how did you really manage this transition in your business?
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. Again, like I said, like we heard, the last session is a tough one to survive, so hopefully we'll do something interesting to keep your interest going. So when COVID hit us, we already had part of our business coming from online sales. We already had that. So the way the model worked is that we had partners, online partners, whose orders would drop into the store, and we would physically pick, pack, and keep it ready, and then the last mile delivery either done by the store or by the partner whose orders are coming to us. So we had, for example, Amazon orders dropping into the store, getting picked, packed in the store, and then Amazon pick up the dispatchers coming and picking up the product and delivering it to the store. That business suddenly multiplied, multiple fold, overnight, literally over 7-8 days, the number of orders multiplied. So suddenly we were faced with a situation where we don't have enough pickers. And, and the picking process itself had to go through a tremendous transformation, because as opposed to 2 or 3 pickers in an hour slot, now we suddenly required 7-8 pickers, and we also needed pickers who can run and pick a lot of different products, because the number of items per order also went up significantly. So, that was our first big jump into organized omnichannel retail, where we had to go beyond just having a few pickers and doing picking, to organizing our shelves, getting our planograms right, getting our picking process right, getting the app for picking at the right level of due diligence. What to do when there are exceptions, like item is not found or a damaged item is found on the store shelf. How do you deal with the fact that there are physical retailers, physical customers also standing there at the shelf, and your pickers are also fighting over the same product? The last, Parle-G packet, across multiple stores it played out. Parle-G supplies went down for a short time during the COVID. And the last packet, there were literally people fighting over the box, saying that, look, I want it, a physical customer picking it and the picker trying to pick the same thing. So it was a tremendous learning journey, and that was, I guess, it helped us to put in place a far better and more robust multi-channel picking system, omni-channel picking system.
Thank you, Satish. Thanks. Fight over the last Parle-G biscuit, anecdote, which hopefully will wake you up. So with that, maybe I'll start formally with the entire group. So let's go from, Rohit from that side. If you can, one by one, just pick up the mic. Just share one word or one sentence, how your business has changed from prior COVID to the new world that we live in today. Again, we are physical today, largely, but how has it changed? One word, each of you.
Yeah, hi, Rohit here from Genesis. So in one word, I think our business is now an omni-channel retail suite. Earlier it was primarily a retail software for offline businesses. Online was a peripheral thing for us. Now it's an omni play for us. We are fully omni enabled.
Truly omni. Okay.
Hi, this is Dr. from Raymond. So omni is a standard word now for everybody, but for Raymond, I believe that we have moved to a concept called avatar. So Raymond Avatar, which is going to be the next game changer in retail industry, in fashion world.
Avatar. Okay.
Hi, Vikas here from Travel Food Services. For our business, basically, COVID brought contactless in the forefront. Today, everybody talks contactless menu, contactless dining, and everything. In hindsight or in retrospect, I only say, thank God, we had implemented it a bit early before COVID stuck. So that kind of allowed us to mitigate the crisis.
Okay. Preparation.
Hi, this is Pooraan Jaiswal. So, I work for a jewelry company. So, as we all know, when COVID hit, jewelry was not the primary thing in the people's mind. Everyone wanted to secure themselves, make sure they have enough funds in their hand. So, yes, the business went in a different direction altogether. But after initial few months, people started thinking, a lot of people who are regular buyers or regular shoppers who had planned, who did not had any casualties at home, they started coming to us, we had our communication channels open, though the stores were closed, but people were able to reach us to our phone, mails, and personal contacts. So jewelry is, it's a very personal item, So all customers, for us, especially with TBZ, we don't sell the regular fast-moving goods. Like, you don't. If you walk into a TBZ showroom, you'll not find a jewelry of 8,000, 5,000 rupees. We have good jewelry, good designs, so we have good connects. Now, buying jewelry online is not a tough task because we already have a relationship with the customers. Now, once you have a good relation with the customers, you are able to do a transaction better. Now, what has changed? Rather than customer coming to our stores, since the stores were closed, there were different mediums to share the designs or share the layouts or do a communication, two-way communication. Plus, the payments were something which is not something issue for us. Like being a jewelry, you obviously make the payment in a higher amount. And in India, cash transactions obviously has gone down post demonetization. So for us, COVID has definitely opened new avenues, especially for the customers who were finding it difficult to walk into a store. They found out, okay, the other customers are able to buy jewelry online, Why can't we buy jewelry online? And buying a TBZ jewelry is most important for them, Like, you can buy jewelry anywhere, but if you buy from brand, it's like, for phone, you think of iPhone. For jewelry, TBZ is the de facto brand. So online and COVID has definitely helped us,
So more online adoption is...
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you ask me what we have changed our whole business model. So we started as an aggregation platform, and once the COVID started, we have, we have understood like our customers who are the merchants need different, and we moved and redesign our product to a SaaS product.
New business model, okay.
So, good evening, everyone. Pandemic has really changed the way the customers have been shopping. And I've been saying this in multiple forums. It has been a forced digital adoption for the customers. It was always forced. But what has happened because of that is, right from my 10-year-old son to my 70-year-old mother, all of them are now exposed to digital technologies, which means that the customer base that we have has significantly increased. It is no longer the Gen X or the Gen Y who are supposed to be the digital adopters or the digital first come movers or advantage that they used to have. It's no longer like that. And to cater to this customer is what we are trying to focus on. So that's primarily the
new segments, new customer segments and wide segments. Okay, great.
Just one more point to add. The payment transactions, which were about 8% UPI pre-COVID, went up to 42% post-COVID. So, that was a magnitude of increase that would normally, you could not even imagine. It brought in its own complications, but it just shot up like anything.
Digital payments, right? So demonetization plus COVID, and it has given you the results. Okay, now we'll deep dive a little bit. So let us pick up three of you who are into segments which, categories which typically take high involvement. So let's take apparel and jewelry, okay, as examples. So any of you, all three of you could build upon each other's points. So probably, I'll start with this because it's high involvement, whether it's jewelry, whether it's high-end apparel. there is a touch and feel aspect to it, definitely. You know, I can evaluate everything, but usually as a consumer, at least prior COVID, I would not buy it without seeing it, without touching it. What has changed, or any good stories that you have from your experiences in the business? Any of you?
Hello. Yeah. Let me first articulate what has changed in the consumer behavior. There is this dramatic change in consumer behavior as far as product buying is concerned. So one is your digital commerce. The second is called invention commerce. So when we say high-end product is part of a invention commerce. So what do you mean by invention commerce? So consumer comes to a platform, try and scan through multiple products at a higher end, and then pick and choose the same product going back to the store, while his lead time conversion is shorter. That's number one. Number two, to amplify that, you need to have 3 layers of analytics prior to that. One, the digital asset management system, number one. Number two, complete buying pattern of the consumer, how he or she has procured any product in the past. And the third, how much likelihood the chance of getting that product being sold. So it has three different components. So that is why I said the avatar. Here the avatar plays a role. When you say avatar, when you buy a product, that particular product has to be bought by a similar kind of customers. So you require a recommender engine. Recommender engine can have multiple different sources. So now the touch point that we are talking about, either through an app, through an WhatsApp commerce, in the store, but on major points, if you see, these are the 3 broad areas. If you focus upon, probably high value product can be sold at a much easier ease rather than any other product segment.
Also, to build on to what Dr. Biswajit mentioned, what has actually changed is the customer expectations to start with. Because eventually the customer is expecting that she is able to understand or look and feel, look the product at least online, and then feel the product into a store. People are back in stores, people are coming back to the stores in probably even in more numbers compared to 2019, and that's what we are evidencing right now. But what they are doing is this time, compared to the earlier times, is they are far more digital aware of what are they eventually going to do inside of a store, or what are the new lines that are launched in an apparel business, or they're trying to understand the product first and then make a choice. And that has changed significantly because of the digital exposure that they have now. So organizations like us who are following a very strong line of presence in terms of launching new lines, ensuring that every Friday we launch new lines, we have to also ensure, and we are doing that, to bring that line online also on the same time. This gives a good amount of exposure of our products to the customer to start with. And if she likes something, if she is really interested, and obviously the feel of the product, especially in apparel, is far more important compared to maybe an electronics to compare with. And obviously the customer, if she likes what she sees online, there is a possibility that if she chooses a channel of convenience to go ahead and purchase it then and there, then she would obviously do it online. But if she chooses to understand what this product further means and is happy to browse even more options that are available in the store, then she would come as a learned, digitally exposed customer for us into a store and probably have a better average bill value for her.
Just to add further to this, absolutely bang in. When you like to give an experience to a consumer, a high value product, let me talk about Raymond. So you have a range of collection on Champion collection, which is very costly. Now, you cannot keep all the product at the store. That's number one. Number two, can I give the experience to the consumer at the front, saying that if you drift this on your body, probably this will look like this. Now, it requires an avatar. It requires an complete, technology as far as Flow is concerned, or Maya is concerned, or rendering is concerned. Now, once you give that feel, because typically in any cognition, either you touch or feel or look, feel and look plays a major role when you buy something, right? You always feel like that, if I wear this, this is something like I look like. So these are also very critical phenomena in buying high value products.
So 2 pointed questions, maybe Pooraan you can come in here. 2 pointed questions, keep the answer short and precise. One is, any of you have tried, I mean there is obviously the concept of trials at home, different brands have tried, Zappos being one of the first, proponents of this, that, try a set of things, return anything, no questions asked. Anybody has tried trials at scale?
So, lockdown, stores are shut, people want to buy jewelry. Now, how will you take the jewelry to their house, The only medium was technology, the virtual try-on. If you see, number of jewelry which was sold in normal days was less than the number of jewelry sold in lockdown, Because when people realize after 2-3 months, like, well, lockdown is going to be here. The COVID is like, okay, we know what is COVID and how to deal with it, They start buying, and when they start buying, they're like, this is a great opportunity for us to buy and invest money. And so now they can't just buy anything, because they were not buying gold biscuits, they were buying gold jewelry. So the idea was they wanted to buy jewelry which can be used in future generation also, or maybe a near future also. Now, if you're buying something which is worth of lakhs of rupees, they want to make sure that ek bar paisa jayega, I want to have look good, I will think of all the occasions. Now, a typical customer who walk into the store, he has one thing in mind, like he has to go back to a house, There'll be traffic, there'll be a lot of other nonsense which he has to keep in mind, there'll be somebody who's waiting at home. But with virtual try-on, you're sitting at home, at your own comfort, whatever you want, you can drink, eat, whatever you want to do. There is no limitation how much time you can spend, because anyways you have the technology in front of you. You're just doing a or dikhao stuff, And if you see the data what we saw from the customers, like what customers used to see jewelry, say, for example, I may not be able to quote the exact numbers. So a typical customer used to see a necklace if he has to buy, 10, 12 necklace, because that's stock which we'll be keeping either, or that's the likes he has. But sitting at home, he is able to try all the hundreds of combination. Now, this is also increase the ticket size. He had planned to buy something like, so he or she, I would say, she basically, he's just a payment maker. She thought of like, okay, let's buy something worth of like 6-7 lakh rupees, and I started liking design. Okay, ye bhi acha hai. This add this diamond, add this carat, add this design. This looks very nice. I can wear this on this occasion also. This occasion also. Then there is the daughter, there is the son. Okay, I can do this. We also can wear. You wear this. All that discussion happening. Now that experience, understand the experience. They're sitting at home. All the private discussion which they could not do at store, they were able to do at home. So their interests are increased. Now anything, if you are doing something and you are interested in doing something, you'll obviously spend more because you are in the flow. So the virtual try-on has become a boon for us around.
Okay, I'll do a float test. So this is what the retailer technologist thinks. A lot of women here put your hands up. You would buy jewelry with virtual trials on at home, or at least would want to explore. Put your hands up. Okay, good. So there are always two sides to the coin, right? And it's about striking that right balance, because as retailer you will have to ensure that you don't overdo the experience, and then that cost doesn't justify the gross margin that you are aiming for. I'll come to Vikas. Vikas is into travel retail, travel food. Now, what did you do when travel vanished for 2 years? And what were the key learnings, particularly because you're in the airport segment more? What are your learnings from these 2 years?
Of course, COVID was one of the worst period for aviation, and in our sector, it further got impacted because we were in F&B. So even if travel started, people were very wary of eating food at the airport because they were not sure about whether the food is hygienically prepared and packed by somebody. Overall, the period was very rigorous in the sense of, because we had clients who wanted us to be prepared for the opening in terms of technology, in terms of various other aspects. So yes, contactless menu, contactless payments were the norm even before COVID struck. but it just kind of exploded when it became the rejure. The other important thing that happened is we had to invest a lot more in terms of the back office aspects of things, specifically in terms of sharing of the technology aspects in terms of like, is the person wearing a cap? Is he wearing a mask while he's preparing the food? Is there a possibility of us sharing a snap of the person who has prepared the food wearing the mask at all times with the customer to give them the confidence to have the food at the airport? That became a critical aspect of how we started planning things and delivering on it. The other important thing that happened during COVID, of course, was also in terms of how do you manage wastage. You have to understand a place which is used to getting, say, around 30 million customers in a year. And suddenly you have to now prepare and you don't know which flights will take off and all. So that's wherein a lot of activity went in the back office analytics in terms of understanding, integrating with airlines, how many passengers are going to flow, speaking with the operators and all. And that's where the tech part of things started playing a bigger role. So today, if somebody wants to know the temperature of the food, rather than just manually writing, he can scan a QR code and he can find out when was the food packed. He can also know when the food goes bad. So these technology upgrades happened during COVID.
Excellent, excellent. I have one more cheeky question for you, only for you, because I have never met a CIO and a CFO, the same person. And there are trade-offs, obviously, between these two roles. So tell me, which hat do you wear when you decide these innovations, you know?
So when it comes to innovations, of course, the CIO hat gains prominence. And frankly speaking, when you wear the two hats, the budget gets passed faster. That some of my team members will say. And as a finance guy, some of the finance projects get priority in the pecking order of the organization when you're the CIO as well. So that's
okay. Great. This is how you can probably convince your CFOs as well. So I'll come to two of the service providers, Rohit and Kumar. So this is how your customers were changing and transforming. So as service providers, how did you see the transformation? And what are you doing to, with your platforms and solutions, what are you doing to bring back that delight of shopping? Because it is largely presumed that delight of shopping is there in the physical premises. It is not possible to replicate exactly on online because it is not the same sensorial experience, right? What are you guys doing to at least reach there?
Should I start? Thankful, like now we don't need to go and convince people. If I talk of pre-COVID, the first question would be, we don't want to get into online. We have not thought of, but this is on a pipeline. But now things are coming like, my current system is not able to do this. Whether your solution, your services is able to do this. And there comes the consideration. I think that has been the huge shift in the mindset of the organization, the retail, hardcore retail. Even we have met people, a small retailer from maybe a tier 2 city of age 55. He is also thinking, mujhe to online karna hai. I think that has the shift we have seen, which would never became if COVID type of phenomenon have not happened in the country.
So now I'll take that to Rohit. So therefore, when the user is, let's say, an 85-year-old person coming on to digital, what is the imperative for the service provider and the platform provider?
So yeah, hi. So before COVID, we were selling in a different way. I think now what we realized that there was a lot of requirement from retailers as soon as COVID started, and a little bit it was there before also, of integrating various other applications into our ERP, into our point of sale, whether it's their online e-commerce store, whether it is all the marketplaces where they are selling, whether it is a CRM system, whether it's a loyalty system, whether it's a fulfillment logic, and so on. So this requirement stream was there earlier also, but it grew many-fold and much faster as soon as COVID hit. And what we realized is most of our customers are actually struggling. Even though we did all those integrations, there was a lot of struggle to actually maintain it, because whenever there's an issue, getting both the parties, that is us and the other third party, together to resolve the issue was a big challenge, because they would have their own timelines, we would have our own timelines, and we would have our priorities and they would have theirs. And getting both together to resolve an issue was a very laborious and time-taking process, due to which the customer experience, that is our customers' experience, was pretty poor. So we decided to come up with this pre-integrated suite, which is Genesis 1 for retail, which is already ready with all the key things in it. I think that is a major game changer, because as far as retail is concerned, nobody has done this kind of thing before, bringing in so many different applications under one umbrella, pre-integrated, ready to use, and on a subscription basis. So that is one way. And how we are helping the retail, shoppers delight, continue is because we are making the availability of the stock, whether it is in the warehouse or whether it is in the store, live, available in pretty close to real time, available on their online platforms. I think that is itself, because once you're ordering, the worst thing that can happen is finding out that that order cannot be fulfilled actually. So I think having an accurate picture of the stock inventory is itself a big win. Then after that, giving a single view of the customer. So when that same customer now walks into the store person can also know that this was a person who has earlier shopped online and is now coming into the store. And so what are the products I can sell to him, or what are the full purchase history of the customer, what are the recommendations. There can be coupons given to that customer to delight him inside the store. He doesn't need to go back online to avail that coupon. So that's a big win again. You don't need to lose that customer to your online channel. You can keep him within your, where he is right now perusing your products. I think these are kind of big wins for offline and online kind of digital retail.
Okay, great. So I'll break the convention here. Normally questions are for the last, but I'll break the convention to make this interesting. So let's take one question from this side and one question in the middle of the session, and I'll again go back to questioning them. But one question, if you have any burning questions from whatever we have discussed so far. One question from this side, one from here. Go ahead. This is also to ensure you're not sleeping.
I think someone is there at the back.
Can somebody pass a mic, please, to the lady behind? This is just to wake you up a little bit, okay? And you can really ask questions, because these are real people who have the experience. Just be a little loud if you can. We'll hear you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Preeti from ThoughtWorks, and my question is to Pooraan Jaiswal sir from TBZ. So you mentioned that your customer buys high-value jewelry, which has a gratification in the longer horizon, maybe a near future or little longer even. And also the acquisition cost of such customers is relatively higher than others. Given this scenario, how do you handle if a customer changes her mind to retain the product they have bought? As such, returns in an e-commerce world is a challenge for many, if not all. So how do you balance this with the capabilities you develop, like the trade-off between the cost and the customer experience through returns?
So let me first of all thank you for asking the question. Normally these questions are not asked by anybody. So in jewelry, if you think of yourself, okay, rather than me answering the question, I think if you put some thought behind it, if you want to buy jewelry, you will not just walk out of this hotel and go and buy jewelry. You will think, plan, decide, discuss. There's a lot of research happens before you walk into your store or before you even call for a design. Be it any jewelry brand, TBZ or anything. And you also know, as a customer, I'll give example of my own family. When we want to buy jewelry, especially when I go along with my wife, she tells me like, I want to buy jewelry. This is my thought process. This is what I'm looking for. As an husband, I'll say, baad mein le lenge. Now, that's the first road blocker. She will again try and come back to me like, okay, nahi le lete hain, acha rahega. It's then she comes. convince me, कि ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं करते हैं, let's buy it as an investment, we have a daughter, so growing daughter, she'll be able to use it. So understand, jewelry is something which it is not a commodity. You're playing with the customer's emotions. And when you're talking to a customer's emotion, that is where the designs are being very important. For us, the returns are less because customers already done a lot of homework, they have discussed, decided, then they have come back to us. There are hardly chances when customer comes to us to buy jewelry. The only thing they will not buy is like if they don't like the design, they will change their mind. But they already have something in their mind. So for us, the most difficult task is to convince the customer the designs, not the returns.
So do it right to prevent returns?
No, I don't think so. That's a thought process also for us. Returns is something which is like what we have experienced, like there's hardly any returns, Customer returns are very less, As I said, it's something we have done the homework. There are critical cases when customer think of exceptions are always there, but I don't see jewelry returns are higher.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Go ahead, please.
Hello? Hello? Am I audible, right? Okay. So my question is to Dr. Biswajit. My name is Shikha, and I'm the marketing manager at Retail Technologies. So my question to you is that we have gone through the COVID phase for about 2 years, and as we all know that Raymond is the premium brand, correct? So post-COVID, what kind of retail innovation was taking place to actually push sales to the customers? Because it was very difficult during COVID time and post-COVID to actually get down to sales, and that is the main, point. The sales is the main point of any kind of organization. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very interesting question and very in-depth question. So let me articulate this. You can sit down. Not on this. So very simple articulation. Raymond is a young brand, right? It's as young as 95 years old, right? But it's a young brand. So when it's a young brand, this transformation of Raymond, I can make this statement, this transformation of the Raymond is happened in last 3 years. Actually, COVID helps us in transforming ourselves from a age-old legacy brand to a absolutely, young brand. Now, to answer to your specific query, Raymond has his customer who are ready to buy Raymond only. That's the legacy that we have created by lot of people. There are people who have contributed to this. Now the first thing that we did in this pandemic is go back to our data. Data is the only solutions for this. You can have multiple data sets with you, but unless otherwise you map them in a right attributes, put them into a structure, understand consumer behavior, whom to sell, what to sell, when to send, what to send. So when I say this, there are 4-5 things that I have told. When I go back to your machine learning and AI interface, optimizing, for example, I would like to send a message to you specifically, whether I need to send it at 7 p.m., whether I need to send you at 8 p.m. Do I need to send it through WhatsApp? Do I need to send it through email? Do I need to send it through SMS? Should I send you a point balance offer? Should I send you a GB voucher? Should I send you a short offer or a trouser? Should I send you a red color trouser or a white color, bundy? It all boils down to a single denomination called customer unification or customer visibility. If you have that data point with you, if you can create that matrix, the data cubes, it will help you to revive your market. That is exactly what Raymond did in last 2.5 years. There is a major drop while this, and the first thing that I told, we sell high value product, right? It's not an e-commerce product, it's a high value product. People will like to buy a trouser or a jacket, right? From Raymond, which is roughly around, starts from 6,000 to 25,000 to a lakh of rupees. they predominantly know that they want to buy Raymond, but you need to first understand whom to send what. If you have that in knowledge base ready, probably all get sorted.
Thank you for answering my
Thank you.
question. Thank you.
I'll come to Vinod with that because you, and I want you, I don't know if this makes sense, but a West Side customer versus a Zudio customer, I believe the customer is different. Would you treat them different? Is the mechanism to engage different? Any examples?
So yes, the customer coming to a West Side store versus a customer coming to a Zudio store are obviously different. I mean, Zudio...
And folks who are not coming to the store.
Yes.
Yeah, for both.
Obviously. Zudio is a value-seeking customer. But having said that, it doesn't mean that a customer walking into a Zudio would not walk into a West Side or vice versa. Because eventually what the customer does most of the times is, depending on the type of purchase that she wants to do, she will decide the type of product that she wants to buy. So if she's looking for an occasion, party wear kind of a thing, she would obviously, or something which is young and fresh and something which is not massy, she would walk into a West Side store. Whereas something that she needs to, let's say, buy, which is a simple purchase that she wants to do, which is a little massy, little low on price, because Zudio does everything below 999. That's the ethos of the store. Obviously, the customer goes to that particular store. Having said that, treating the customer, especially in a contactless world, is not something that we differentiate at all. A customer is a customer for us, and again, to the points that everyone is making, contactless is much more than e-commerce. It is not just e-commerce. E-commerce is probably one of the legs that it is standing on, and there are a lot more legs to it which can actually make a lot of difference. So whether it is technologies, let's say like RFID or a self-checkout or those kind of things, which doesn't need to differentiate a format, whether it is Zudio or West Side. And that is what we are focusing on. And it really needs to be dealt at a level where customer, and I think someone mentioned about a single view of customer, it really has to be dealt at that level. This will ensure that we are giving an experience of the format. The backend has to be integrated, but the differentiation has to be at a brand level. So if a West Side is coming in, the differentiation for the brand has to be different, whereas for a Zudio, the differentiation of the brand will be different for that customer. But the backend or the engine running the contactless commerce or the contactless technologies that we are running can be integrated and can be common. So that is the way probably we should move forward.
So I'll bring a question for both Satish and Vikas, a kind of food, staples, grocery, somewhat relevant. Now, when we say in the contactless world, delivering a promise to the customer, it's also about the value chain, because it is not just the retail point where you're selling, because there's a huge back end through the supply chain, the products come, right? How do you ensure sanity in that value chain, across the value chain? How much are you custodian of that? If you could share experiences.
Hello. Yeah. So for the biggest thing that drives the change in the supply chain during these times when we have, to deliver product on time, every time, is to make sure that the product is first available in the stores. And the products can be available in the stores only if your supply chain is far more agile and responsive than it used to be in the past. There could be peak sales that happen which would bring, the volume of product available in the store a lot further down. How do we make sure that we replenish at the right frequency and store the right level of inventory at the stores? That is the biggest challenge. The way More has chosen to address it is two ways. One is the whole planning engine that we had, which used to calculate how replenishment should happen, was completely modified. The original planning engine could not handle the variabilities that the omni-channel retailing throws up on us. So that's one complete change that has been made. And using AI ML, we are now able to not just react to changes, but even to some extent predict that certain things are going to happen based on the data that we have. So that's been one big change. The second change is in our warehousing operations, DC operations, transportation operations. We had to bring in a lot more flexibility. Like, you cannot, for example, all the stores started getting replenished at an each level. from case level to each level. That's a huge change for warehousing operation to start picking in each level and sending it to 850, 900 stores on a daily basis and twice a day. So all of the replenishment frequency, the mode of replenishment, the planning mechanism, everything had to go undergo dramatic changes to be able to ensure that the product is first of all available in your store so you can service the customer. I think that has been the biggest. And then the third element to it is vendor collaboration has improved quite a lot. So between vendors and us, we share now far more information than earlier. They can see their sales, they can see category sales, and therefore they can also proactively position inventory closer to our requirement centers. And sometimes even do direct store delivery. There are many cases during COVID where big vendors like Hindustan Unilever and during summer, Coke and Pepsi were able to do direct store delivery to our stores to make sure that they don't go out of stock. So there is a whole lot of vendor collaboration initiatives that have also fallen into place. So all these were big changes that the supply chain had to make for managing the availability.
So our sector is slightly different because we deal with cooked food, and the challenges in cooked food is far more higher. First and foremost, just if you imagine an Indian cuisine, you can imagine that any dish preparation requires at least 10 to 12 items. And we operate out of 10 airports, 330 locations. And even if you add a 30 menu items, the sheer amount of SKU you have to handle in an airport setting goes multifold. Means people don't understand that the food that we prepare at the airport, you are not actually supposed to use knife. So just imagine how you anticipate the demand that the airport will generate, how many people will eat at your outlets, at what temperature you serve them, at what speed you serve them, because you have to also understand the person is at an airport for only 40-45 minutes. He's in a rush to just board the flight so that he doesn't miss. And Indians have a much higher propensity to travel anxiety, as we call in our parlance, because they just want to board the flight quickly. So it becomes extremely relevant for us to have a complete control over our inventory systems, because the last thing you want is somebody walking to your store and say, I want a croissant and a coffee, and you say that I can't offer you a croissant, why don't you have a vada pav? That guy is not for having a vada pav. So that's number one. The other important element for us is how do you maintain the food quality? How do you maintain the POS queue? Because suddenly, if you remember, all of us are from Bombay, many of them. If you go to any outlet, you will see 15-20 people standing in queue. And the time frame is that the moment you don't see a queue in some other outlet, you will jump. So how do you ensure that you capture the customer? And how do you break the queue? All these aspects are wherein the technology plays a huge part for us. So besides inventory, we have to be on top of what the customer needs, and also how do we deliver to the customer at the fastest point. So something that we had experimented much before even COVID struck was a food at gate. So like you can order the food and it will be delivered to the gate from where you are boarding the flight. And now this concept is being taken across all airports. So those kind of things are driving us.
Okay. I'll come to Kumar and Rohit as service providers. Now, see, I was just reflecting that anything to do with online commerce last few years, it's been largely mobile-led and touch-led, right? But there are a lot of other ways to engage, especially when you are trying to bring very new segments, customer segments into the fold. So for example, what do you do with voice commerce? What do you do with, let's say, speech, language, etc.? What do you do with visual, Anybody trying to innovate anything on this, which is going to lead to a paradigm shift in terms of how consumers behave with retailers? So first from the service providers and then from the retailers. I'll come to them so you can think of any use cases.
So, as per as, in jewelry segment, like we have seen the augmented reality is something has been adopted by both retailers as well as consumer very well. And I think the furniture is another sector where lot of tractions we see in the augmented reality to see how the product looks in my home. I think now retailers are also getting more mature in terms of giving the real feel at home. I think as we go, different sector like the food as a sector, I think their augmented reality can play a very good role. I think it's a technology is something which is both egg and chicken story. So it has to come from the the retailers, the requirement, and sometimes when we go advance, we find no takers. I think, but the situations are changing. I think augmented reality is something is going to play a very vital role in most of the e-commerce to give more better experience. Other than this, what I feel like, what I keep on saying to all my partners, don't see e-commerce as your another channel which will give you sale. See holistically, for many sector, like whether it's a jewelry or in a large ticket apparel, e-commerce play a very vital role. The parameter should be whether it is helping me in my footfall to conversion ratio. Like whether people coming to a store predetermined may go to another store. But if he see the product and then come 50% determined, okay, I find the right product, I just need to see it. Then a retailer or a retail chain can substantially reduce their cost in terms of operation, in terms of stacking and all those stuffs. I think if we see the solution as a whole, I think it will definitely and have metrics on some of the parameters which we might not be tracking currently, will definitely give a result. That we have seen, when we track for some of our partners, we have seen, the footfall to conversion ratio has drastically increased. The other part that we believe in a omni-channel, it has to be seamless. Like whether I buy from online, return at store, I buy from store, I want the return to be picked up from home. I think unless and until we have that all the component integrated together, I think we will not get the true flavor of the technology.
Thanks. I think you've already given my part of my answer that all the systems are slowly getting interlinked, and I think more interlinking, seamless interlinking is the future. But specifically to answer your first question, I think there are two main technologies that are still a little bit in their infancy, but I think they have a big potential to play in bringing the next generation of shoppers online into or shoppers into retail. One is voice assisted search, visual search. These two technologies definitely have a big role to play because not everybody is conversant with typing out a search query or search query into Google and so on. So I think definitely there's a lot of scope for improving your catalog for voice and also for making your website into different languages if you have that kind of aspiration to make it into a pan-India brand or national level, international level brand. And third, very important for the physical store is the endless aisle. I think that better implementations of endless aisle need to come in to make the technology more available at all stores in a way that is user-friendly so that they feel as if they are standing in the store. It should not look like something outside the store which people are not interested in. So I've seen some implementations, but usually that kiosk is wherever you have to go and browse, it's hidden away in a corner and no one is really, it's always switched off. So, ultimately it's a technology and a process failure. So there is no point of even keeping it and investing in that. So if it's brought to life and the shopper has a choice, I think they would like to browse more products eventually.
Got it. So next 5 minutes I'll open up for everybody. Question anybody can answer. So the theme of the session was delightful shopping. How do we recreate it, right? So any experiences where, see there's so much of science on retail with the physical retail store. So store layout, store design, visual merchandising, there's so much science behind it, which people have studied and implemented. There is no science for online. Okay.
There is a science for online. Okay.
Yeah, so
please understand. We all know, especially we CIOs, we've been working with the technology companies, the partners. There is no end to technology solution. There is solution for everything: AR, VR, AI, VI, everything. Last few years, the people have been talking about AI. You start using AI. If you have data, you can use AI. You can get the results and everything. Look, the science is not that easy. It's not that I just go to a partner or go to a solution provider and he'll tell me like, okay, I'm a jewelry company, let's do this. You go to any real partner, they'll say, whatever data you give me or whatever technology or AI solution, let's talk about an AI solution as of now. Any AI solution, if I have to implement, I would require at least 6 to 8 months. Now science is there, technology is there, it is tried and tested technology. Why do you need 8 months for your store? And things like, even if you tell him like, okay, this is being used by Tanish, no, so it will still require. Now this technology, this science is something which you require expert. Normal CIO cannot do it, normal businessman cannot do it. That's where the difference is makes. What I'll take it from Rohit. A lot of CIOs or a lot of people just go with the technology, what they have heard about it. They don't do research properly. They don't prepare themselves properly. You are not the only person. CIO or technology team is not the only department who is supposed to implement technology. If you don't take every stakeholder along with you, it is bound to fail. 90% technology has failed. In retail, I would say. Because that's the scene I've seen retail in 1998. 90% they have failed because the partners who are supposed to take care of technology are not there. I'm sitting in the office and I'm designing like, okay, let's have this omnichannel feature, or there are many areas where people who are supposed to help customer, they're like, this is not my job. No, this is not my department. This is not my take. This is a CIO. This is a technology project. Now, tera mera, and what we call it, it doesn't work. Please. That's where the companies fail. Now, why CEOs have stopped talking about technologies also? Because they say that the CIO will come and he'll talk about jargon, the business will not understand, and then the whole money will go toss. So that's where, so you have to understand any implementation, any new project, any technology, you prepare your ground proper. If your internal employees are not properly prepared, which are your internal customer, we call it, forget about any technology. It will not give you any solution. And then you'll say, yeah, chalta nahi, paisa waste ho gaya.
So taking clue from what Pooraan said, I'll just quickly do something, very exciting point that he has generated. So like in our store, we have a planogram, right? So similarly, in e-commerce, there is a technology which is emerging very heavily, is called stream analytics. So like you move in a store, also consumer move in a e-commerce, right? And earlier, the data that used to produce is so vast, is very difficult for analyze. Now, with the Hadoop clustering system, you can analyze the complete stream and create hyper-personalized e-commerce site for consumer. For example, I can upload Pooran's photograph on the website, and the complete website turns to be for Pooraan. So this technology is already there. That's number one. Number two, taking clue from him, voice search and vernacular NLP is going to be the next trend in e-commerce and also in in-house stores. And the third, in your in-house store experience, video analytics is going to be the next game changer. So you have typically those mounted IoT are there since quite some time. Now, with your regular cameras in your DVR and NVR produce so much of knowledge, you can ramp out lot of analytics. You can optimize your resources, you can optimize your dwell time, you can optimize your store planogram, you can optimize your offers around complete dynamics. So these are something which is coming very fast.
Okay, so if I can read you correctly, so what you want to say is about the standardization of technology. I take it as a standardization of best practice. Like for a retail, we know that what type of layout works, what type of merchandising at the front works. So we don't have a standardization for the e-commerce or the digital part yet. To some extent, I will agree to disagree. Because most of the brands have not got the true result of the investment they have made till now. So we don't have the best practice. At the end of the day, whatever works, the other follows. So I take it that way. So if we have to get into the food, right? I think Domino's, one has to look at Domino's, how Domino's is able to get into online, which no other brand is able to do. So a business from their own online store. All has to depend on the aggregator platform, other than Domino's, who do 80% of their business from their own e-commerce store. Similarly, if we see from the apparel, probably Shein would be the example which shows like only having a digital presence can be a global leader, beating players like Zara of the world, right? So at the end of the day, what we have seen, people invest somewhere and then get distracted. They don't take it to the ultimate conclusion. So if you invest on the technology, it is only just going to be your store. The platform is just putting a physical store. And then you need the product. When you do the merchandising in the store, same way you have to invest on the merchandising for your online store as well. So as you have the loyalty for your offline, how you get the online loyalty? So that strategy has to come. Once we have a holistic and 360 view of what I am doing in offline and what is working me for offline, we have to come up with the equivalent, what is there for me to get into the online. I think once we get into this, one can make this standardization of the technology for others to follow.
Absolutely. So with about 4 minutes left, questions open for the floor. We'll go with this side. Yeah. Can somebody pass the mic behind?
We wish we could use the mobile phones for all this kind of questions.
Yeah, or you can just speak a little loudly. We should be able to hear.
Hello. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is to Dr. Biswajit, and as Raymond is a premium brand and customer would walk into a store with certain affinity. So I just want to ask a question like how are you making sure that there is a seamless unified experience across channel for Raymond customers?
Yeah, thank you very much. So the consumer that we have multiple different formats, right? We have our own stores, we have franchisee stores, we have mini stores, we have online. Now, earlier these datas are in silos, right? Now all these datas are now hosted in cloud, and we have only one Raymond unified data source. Number two, any consumer need not move to any store for any kind of queries, which was earlier the case, right? And you will happy to note that we have a large call center, right? Because it's a big company, large call center with one person, right? One person call center, and that person is also not busy because he is now saying, sir, I don't have any calls, right? That's the kind of self-services that we put for the consumer. So anything you like to know about your transactions, your purchase, your points, your loyalty balance, anything you like to know, you can get it on a single button. And the loyalty engine that we are running is IFC certified, right? So that's the detailing that we have gone into micro level of Databricks. We are working on Synapse module, which is the latest module as far as analytics is concerned. So we are taken into a lot of things. While saying so, is this the end result? Answer is no. There are lot many things is there on the pipeline. We are trying to put lot many things as far as consumer is concerned, as far as my retailers are concerned, as far as my distributors are concerned, as far as my all stakeholders are concerned. One by one, we are trying our best to give you one of the best experience. Thank you very much.
Okay, we are on time. Unless there is a question, we'll take that. Okay, last question.
Online, So how will you get the tailor-made, like custom suit? For example, Raymond is usually for the suits. So how will you get the custom dimension? Is it like through mobile app or something you are planning?
Okay. So you can
Custom-made suits.
No issue, sir. You please sit. No, no, yes. So customer has multiple dimensions, right? So customer has demographic dimensions, behavioral attributes, then product attributes, item level attributes, retailer level attributes. Then there are another angle which is called social attributes. Now, there are a lot many social listening tools which are available. Over and above, there is a module which Raymond has implemented. I think one of the solution which we have implemented in our system called as one-button sentiment analytics. You buy anything from Raymond, on a click of a button, I can know right now sitting here what is the talk about in Chennai, in Coimbatore, what is people talking about Hyderabad, what is they talking about my blue jackets, what they're talking about my yellow shirts, and at what price band. Over and above, any feedback that you are like to give to Raymond is completely vernacular and it's easy. So there are multiple dimensions that we have built in the system itself. That's number one. Number two, any consumer moving from online to offline or offline to online, these are only one unified, database. I'm not getting into more into technical. It's only one database. In one consumer is hovering around all these factors. That is actually helps us. The ma'am has asked me the first question. That is exactly what helped us, reviving in this retail world and moving very fast and recover this pandemic.
Okay, thank you. We are on time. I hope you enjoyed the session. Hope it was engaging. Thanks a lot.